Hello, welcome's channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of Salem's most explosive revelations, a DNA bombshell that has completely turned the paternity question upside down, left Aaron potentially facing life-changing news, and revealed that Tesoro's real father might be someone who will shake the entire town to its core. The moment Aaron discovered he could be the biological father of baby Tesoro, everything in his world shifted dramatically. This revelation didn't just appear out of nowhere, it emerged from the ashes of Sophia's elaborate web of deception that had entangled Tate Black for months. Now that the truth about Tate not being the father has been confirmed through scientific evidence, Aaron finds himself standing at a crossroads he never anticipated. The young man who once seemed like a background character in this drama suddenly finds himself thrust into the spotlight, potentially about to become a father when he least expected it. The DNA test that exposed everything wasn't just a simple medical procedure, it became the key that unlocked months of carefully constructed lies. When Dr. Sarah Horton delivered the shocking results to a stunned Brady Black, confirming that Tesoro was absolutely not his grandson and that Tate could not possibly be the biological father, the entire foundation of Sophia's story crumbled like a house of cards. This wasn't just embarrassing for Sophia, it was devastating, potentially criminal, and had already caused irreparable damage to multiple relationships throughout Salem. But here's where the mystery deepens even further. If Aaron isn't the father either, then who could possibly be Tesoro's biological dad? This question has been keeping Days of Our Lives fans up at night, spinning theories and connecting dots that span months of storyline development. The answer to this paternity puzzle could involve someone we've already met, or it might introduce a completely new character whose connection to Sophia will send shockwaves through the community. Some fans have even speculated about darker possibilities, including scenarios involving characters with criminal backgrounds or situations where Sophia may not have been a willing participant in the conception. Salem residents are now actively speculating about Tesoro's true parentage, and the theories range from the obvious to the absolutely heartbreaking. Sophia herself appeared genuinely shocked when confronted with the DNA evidence, which raises an important question. Did she really not know who the father was, or has she been playing an even more sophisticated game than anyone realized? Her stammering confession to attorney Melinda Trask suggested that she truly believed Tate was the father, which would mean her elaborate schemes weren't based on calculated deception but rather on her own mistaken assumptions. The list of men who absolutely cannot be Tesoro's father is actually quite revealing when we examine it closely. Sophia Choi has proven herself to be cunning, manipulative, and capable of executing elaborate schemes that would make even Jan Spears or Claire Brady proud. She orchestrated an entire fake pregnancy narrative, convinced Tate he was the father, manipulated Holly Jonas into a compromising position by spiking her drink, sent sexually explicit messages to Johnny DiMera from Holly's phone, and sabotaged Johnny and Chanel's adoption prospects, all while maintaining her innocent facade. Yet despite all this demonstrated cunning and forward planning, she somehow didn't know or didn't anticipate that a DNA test would expose Tate as not being the biological father. This contradiction is fascinating and suggests layers to Sophia's psychology that we haven't fully explored. When we consider potential candidates, Doug Williams III immediately comes to mind as a theoretical possibility. He's definitely on Holly's romantic radar, which means he's likely crossed Sophia's path multiple times in Salem's limited social circles for young people. However, Doug experienced a significant panic attack when he thought he might have slept with underage Ari, which demonstrates he has clear moral boundaries about age-appropriate relationships. This previous incident strongly suggests Doug would never have crossed that ethical line with Sophia or any other underage girl, effectively eliminating him from consideration despite his proximity to the situation. Another theoretical candidate would be Johnny DiMera himself. Sophia has already demonstrated her willingness to frame Johnny for inappropriate behavior by sending those sexually suggestive messages from Holly's phone. If she wanted to truly destroy Johnny's life and marriage to Chanel, what better weapon than claiming he fathered her child after sleeping with a minor? This would have been the ultimate manipulation, combining statutory implications with home-wrecking potential. However, there's been no evidence presented that Sophia and Johnny ever had any romantic or physical interaction, making this scenario more theoretical than probable. Plus, Sophia's genuine shock at the DNA results suggests she wasn't strategically framing anyone, she really believed her own story about Tate. The most logical answer, the one that countless Days of Our Lives fans have been pointing toward since this storyline began, is Aaron Green. The evidence supporting Aaron as Tesoro's biological father is actually quite compelling when you examine the timeline carefully. Aaron and Sophia had a brief but meaningful connection that flew under most people's radar. They shared sweet moments together, and there was genuine chemistry between them during a specific window of time, right before Sophia slept with Tate. The timing aligns perfectly with conception, which would make Aaron the biological father despite neither of them initially realizing it. What makes this scenario particularly heartbreaking is Aaron's character. He's been portrayed as the nerdy, loyal best friend, the guy who talks about Dungeons and Dragons, supports his friends unconditionally, and has been quietly pining for Ari while staying in the background of other people's dramas. This isn't someone who would sleep with his best friend's girlfriend and keep it secret, which raises questions about the exact circumstances of any encounter between Aaron and Sophia. Did something happen that both of them have suppressed or misremembered? Was there a situation neither of them fully acknowledged even to themselves? When Tate approached Aaron to tell him the shocking news that he wasn't Tesoro's father, Aaron's reaction was telling. The young man appeared genuinely anxious and unsettled, which represents a complete departure from his usual steady demeanor. This anxiety suggests Aaron immediately understood the implications. If Tate isn't the father, and Aaron had any intimate contact with Sophia during the relevant time frame, then he could be stepping into fatherhood whether he's ready or not. The weight of that realization would crush anyone, but for someone as young and unprepared as Aaron, it's potentially life-destroying. Days of Our Lives fans have been remarkably unified in their speculation about Aaron's paternity. On social media platforms, viewers have been sharing their theories with passionate conviction. One fan joked on social media, expressing relief that Tate wasn't the father but feeling genuinely sorry for Aaron, who they're convinced is about to have his entire life trajectory changed by Sophia's chaos. Another longtime viewer admitted they never believed Tate was the father from the beginning, always suspecting Aaron based on the timeline and their brief connection. These fans have been paying attention to details that casual viewers might have missed, tracking character movements and interactions across multiple episodes. The dramatic irony of this situation is that Aaron might have been living his normal teenage life, going to school, playing video games, crushing on Ari, being a loyal friend, completely unaware that he fathered a child months ago. Meanwhile, Sophia constructed an entire alternative reality where Tate was the father, potentially because she genuinely believed it or possibly because she preferred that narrative for reasons we still don't fully understand. Her manipulation of Tate, her schemes against Holly and Johnny, her fake adoption paperwork, all of it was built on what might have been an honest mistake about paternity rather than calculated deception. However, there's another possibility that some fans have raised, and it's considerably darker than the Aaron theory. What if Sophia was victimized by someone, and that's why she's been so desperate to maintain the fiction that Tate was the father? Given how strict and controlling her mother Amy has been portrayed, it's conceivable that Sophia might have hidden a traumatic experience for fear that Amy would blame her rather than support her. In this scenario, claiming Tate was the father would have been a protective lie, something that gave her control over a situation where she had none. Some fans have speculated about Liam, a character that Abe Carver mentioned he would be mentoring, a young man with a criminal record who might be entering the canvas specifically because of his connection to this paternity situation. If Liam is revealed as Tesoro's father, it would add an entirely new dimension to this storyline, potentially transforming it from a teenage relationship drama into something much more serious. Sophia's reluctance to reveal the father's identity to Dr. Sarah Horton takes on different meaning if the truth involves trauma or coercion rather than consensual teenage romance. The DNA test that Aaron will likely undergo next represents a pivotal moment not just for him personally, but for everyone entangled in Sophia's web. Brady Black has already started piecing together inconsistencies in Sophia's story, discovering fake adoption paperwork and questioning the Chicago post office box that doesn't check out. His investigation has revealed that Sophia and her attorney Melinda Trask may have committed serious crimes in their attempt to facilitate an adoption under false pretenses. If Aaron is confirmed as the father, it completely changes the legal landscape around Tesoro's custody and adoption prospects. Johnny and Chanel Di Mera, who were victimized by Sophia's schemes that destroyed their adoption chances, are now watching this drama unfold with mixed emotions. On one hand, they're relieved that the truth is finally emerging. On the other hand, they're dealing with the fallout from Sophia's manipulations that included framing Holly and creating fake evidence of inappropriate messages between Holly and Johnny. The revelation that Tate wasn't the father validates their suspicions that something was deeply wrong with Sophia's entire story, but it doesn't undo the damage already done. Holly Jonas herself has been through hell because of Sophia's machinations. She was drugged, framed for sending explicit messages, and ended up hospitalized after starting a fire while intoxicated from whatever Sophia put in her drink. Now that the paternity truth is emerging, Holly has additional validation that she was right about Sophia all along. Her relationship with Tate, which was nearly destroyed by Sophia's pregnancy claim, now has a chance to heal, though the scars from this experience will likely last for years. The legal and ethical implications of what Sophia has done are staggering when you list them all together. She filed fraudulent adoption paperwork, created fake documentation, potentially committed identity fraud with that Chicago post office box, spiked Holly's drink with substances that caused hospitalization, sent explicit messages from someone else's phone to frame them for inappropriate conduct, lied about paternity to extract emotional and potentially financial support, sabotaged an adoption process, and maintained this deception for months while destroying multiple relationships. Some legal experts watching the show have speculated that Sophia could face serious criminal charges beyond just the adoption fraud, potentially including assault, harassment, defamation, and fraud charges that could result in significant legal consequences. Melinda Trask, Sophia's attorney, now finds herself in an impossibly compromised position. She risked her professional reputation and potentially her law license to help Sophia with this adoption scheme, believing she was assisting a young mother in distress. The revelation that the entire foundation was built on lies puts Melinda in serious ethical and legal jeopardy. When Sophia finally confesses the full truth to Melinda, which spoilers suggest is coming soon, Melinda will have to decide whether to continue representing someone who has fundamentally deceived her, or to protect herself by distancing from this disaster. Aaron's family could play an interesting role in this developing situation. His sisters, Kat Green and Felicity Green, might step up to support their brother if he's confirmed as Tesoro's father. Having family backing would be crucial for someone as young as Aaron facing unexpected parenthood. The Green family's response to this revelation could provide Aaron with the stability and support he'll desperately need if he decides to take responsibility for his biological child. The adoption question surrounding Tesoro has become incredibly complicated now that the paternity is in dispute. Multiple families had expressed interest in adopting this baby, but all of those applications were processed based on false information about the father's identity and Tate's supposed willingness to give up parental rights. If Aaron is the biological father and wants to maintain custody or parental rights, it completely invalidates any adoption proceedings that have moved forward. If someone else entirely is revealed as the father, the legal situation becomes even more tangled. Sarah Horton and Kayla Brady have found themselves in an incredibly difficult ethical position throughout this saga. As medical professionals, they're bound by patient confidentiality and HIPAA regulations, which means they cannot freely disclose Sophia's medical information, including DNA test results, even when they know people are being deceived. They've been watching Tate and Brady suffer under false assumptions while being legally prevented from revealing the truth they discovered through testing. This ethical bind has pushed both doctors to their limits, forcing them to carefully navigate what they can and cannot say without violating their professional obligations. The timing of when Aaron learns the definitive truth about his potential paternity will be crucial. Spoilers suggest that Aaron will indeed undergo DNA testing against Tesoro in the coming episodes, which will finally provide scientific certainty about whether he is the biological father. The anticipation and anxiety Aaron experiences while waiting for those results will be agonizing, every young person's worst nightmare of having their life completely redirected by an unexpected pregnancy suddenly becoming potentially real for him. What makes this storyline particularly compelling is how it explores the consequences of teenage sexuality and relationship drama in a realistic way. Sophia's elaborate deceptions grew from what might have started as simple denial or confusion about who fathered her child. Rather than being honest from the beginning, she constructed increasingly complex lies that eventually ensnared dozens of people in Salem. Her manipulation of Tate wasn't just cruel, it was life-altering for a young man who genuinely tried to step up and take responsibility for what he believed was his child. The emotional devastation Tate experienced while believing he was Tesoro's father cannot be understated. He gave up his relationship with Holly, faced judgment from his family and community, prepared for fatherhood, and made difficult decisions about adoption, all based on Sophia's lie. The relief he must feel knowing he's not actually the father is probably mixed with rage about the months of his life that were stolen by this deception. His trust in romantic relationships has likely been permanently damaged by this experience. Salem as a community will have to reckon with what Sophia has done once the full scope of her actions becomes public knowledge. This isn't just teenage drama or a misunderstanding, this is systematic manipulation that destroyed relationships, derailed life plans, nearly killed Holly, sabotaged an adoption, and involved potential criminal conduct. The town's response to Sophia will reveal a lot about their capacity for understanding versus their desire for accountability and justice. Sophia's own psychology deserves examination as well. What drives someone so young to construct such elaborate deceptions? Was it fear of her strict mother discovering the truth? Was it genuine confusion about paternity combined with wishful thinking that Tate was the father? Was it calculated manipulation from someone with deeper psychological issues? Or was it, as some fans theorize, a protective response to trauma that she hasn't disclosed to anyone? Understanding Sophia's motivations doesn't excuse her actions, but it might provide context that could inform whether she faces pure punishment or receives some combination of accountability and psychological help. The revelation about Tesoro's true paternity will have ripple effects throughout Salem for months to come. If Aaron is the father, he'll need to decide whether to pursue custody, give up parental rights, or attempt to co-parent with Sophia despite everything she's done. If someone else entirely is the father, whether that's Liam or another character we haven't yet connected to this storyline, it opens entirely new dramatic possibilities that could sustain this storyline well into next year. Baby Tesoro himself remains at the center of all this chaos, an innocent child whose future is being determined by adult and teenage drama completely beyond his control. Whoever his father turns out to be, Tesoro deserves stability, love, and a family environment that prioritizes his well-being over the complicated history of how he came into the world. Whether that family includes his biological parents, adoptive parents, or some combination remains one of the most compelling questions facing Days of Our Lives viewers right now. The DNA test that started this entire revelation, when Brady asked Sarah to test Sophia's work apron to confirm maternity, proved to be the thread that, when pulled, unraveled Sophia's entire tapestry of lies. Scientific evidence doesn't care about elaborate stories or emotional manipulation, it simply reveals biological truth. That truth has now set off a chain reaction of revelations, confrontations, and reckonings that will define Salem's storylines for the foreseeable future. So who is Tesoro's real father? All signs point to Aaron Green as the most likely biological parent, with the timing of his brief connection with Sophia aligning perfectly with conception. However, Days of Our Lives has surprised viewers before, and the possibility remains that someone else entirely, perhaps Liam or another character connected to Sophia's hidden past, could be revealed as the true father. What we know for certain is that the truth will emerge. Aaron is understandably anxious about what that truth might be, and Salem will never be quite the same after this explosive revelation rocks the entire community.